So Ethan, who do you think's gonna win?
I think I'm going to win.
I think I'm gonna win.
I'm definitely gonna win.
Here we go. All right, everyone, it's finally race week. Taper time is here for Ironman Chattanooga. If you haven't watched our first video, make sure you check it out. I'm taking on two of my close friends, and honestly, we have still no idea who's going to win, even right now. But don't get me wrong, there's still the favorite for this race, and on paper, that is Ethan. But Cody will have something to say about that. He thinks he's gonna win. He's the young gun of the group, the wild card, as we call him. And last, but probably not least, there's me, the old man, the underdog of the group. In that first video, if you watched it, you'll remember I introduced the story of this race, how it came to be. But now, ahead of the big day, let's dive into the specifics, including first off, where we started, what was our fitness coming into it, including our VO2 testing. Go into now where we've ended up, how is our fitness right now, the advantages and disadvantages we had in our training in the lead up. Also, we're going to take a look at the equipment we're using for the race and how big of a factor that'll play into this, especially for me, and how we think the race is going to play out and why each of us thinks we could win. Okay, so how do we think the race is going to play out? One at a time. Cody, we'll start with you. Finally, stick around to the end because we have a bet, a punishment on the line for the losers for this one, and none of us want this outcome at all.
Did we make that the official wager?
Oh yeah.
The problem is all of our wives' partners, they're going to kill us, whoever loses, having to see this in our house.
So let's start off, let's rewind the clock. It was about back in April, end of March, we signed up for this thing and started training. For me, I was pretty much starting from square one. I didn't have anything on the calendar this year except for a 50K run in Moab with my dad in November. But I was fired up at the beginning of the year for this. But then I tore my hamstring after getting into some good running rhythm while I was playing airsoft with my brother, embarrassingly enough. So yeah, basically I was in no shape at all coming off of that hamstring tear, and truthfully, I was the most out of shape I've been in a couple years, probably since I started the channel, and the heaviest I've been because of that as well. Ethan, on the other hand, he's just permanently fit. He's always mountain biking, road biking, running. He always does a lot of strength work and gym work, and he's always training for that big fundraiser event that he does, we talked about in the last video. And it makes total sense why he was the one pushing to do this Ironman. But then Cody, also just extremely fit all the time. But there's a reason why he signed up before Ethan and I and was so gung-ho about doing this Ironman, because he was just coming off of racing another ultra marathon. He just did a 50K with a ton of elevation, did super well there. And he was hitting about 60-mile weeks. He was feeling confident. He said, why not? I've got the run in the bag already. But remember, he had zero swimming at this point and very little road biking experience at all. So because we were all so different, we were dying to know how different we actually all were. So we reached out to a guy named Sean Fife. He works with a company called Turnpoint Physio here in Bellingham. He helped us out with all the testing. And if you're ever in the area and need professional testing in the Pacific Northwest, highly recommend him. It was an incredible experience, even if I absolutely hated my results. But at this point, we were 12 weeks out. Still had some hope to change some things based on the guidance he gave us after the results. So for the testing, we just did the bike. We did 4-minute intervals, increasing by 20 watts each time. And at the end of each interval, Sean would record our heart rate as well as our lactate. We also did breathing tests and had a Moxie oxygen sensor on our quads as well. So we got a ton of information about just breathing and how our muscles were using oxygen. Funny enough, I was actually super stoked with how this testing started off because we did the breathing first. We found out Ethan's was actually the worst, and I was in the middle. Cody was up top, unsurprisingly there, but yeah, I was pretty chuffed I had something over Ethan to start this out. But that's where that ended, because when the VO2 test results came in, I was at the bottom. I had a VO2 of about 53, which, by the way, for what it's worth, was surprisingly close to what my Garmin predicted at 52. But I got pretty sad when I heard Ethan's and Cody's, although I thought they would actually be a little bit higher. Ethan's was 58.5, Cody's was 64. So none of us were really surprised that I was the lowest, but we kind of all expected Cody and Ethan to be a little bit closer. And again, with Ethan's breathing score being a little bit lower than he thought, I think his confidence was taken down a bit of a notch.
I'd say me, Cody, Travis, but really close for the 2 and 3.
So as fun as it was to push ourselves inside out during this testing, we actually all learned from the results that we needed to train a lot easier than we were. We needed to push our graph. We needed our LT1 to move further along the graph. We needed to basically increase our base, but that takes a long time to do. So Sean recommended at this point to go with a mixed endurance-based approach where we do, a fair bit of easy stuff, but we also do a lot of tempo and as well as some very race-specific efforts at this point.
Being that the race itself is extremely long and you have 3 different sports to train, so that limits how much time you can put into each sport, I would say spending time training specifically for the event would be your biggest bang for your buck. His power values are higher. I would probably pick Ethan, just like with what I know right now. Cody is the wild card. Yeah.
I was really sad by what he recommended that I would push at this stage for an Ironman. I would barely be able to finish it. I thought that would just take way too long and I would have no hope of, even being close to Ethan and Cody. So I made the bike my big goal at this point. So before that and after that, training was going really well. This time around doing my Ironman versus last time, I wanted to be really consistent. Last time I did my Ironman, I was just really wanting to do these massive days, and then I would skip a couple days. I was just all over the place. This time I just wanted to be consistent and stick to this 10% rule I've had lately where you only increase your overall training volume by 10% at most each week. It's a very standard rule and it's always worked really well for me, especially I knew if I got any injuries or major niggles that would keep me from training, I knew I would have no hope. So I had to play it a little bit safe while also trying to take as many things into my advantage as I could. I was eating better, I was sleeping better, I was trying to manage my time really well. And honestly, it was the best I've done in a long time. And that's another reason why just signing up for a race is such a good way to get motivated, especially doing it against 2 close friends. I've never been more motivated in the last few months. We dropped him. No big deal, we dropped Ethan. Woo! So I had a lot of momentum at first and I had a lot to gain being so unfit to begin with. It was just so easy to see progress and it's so much easier to get back into shape than when you're already fit. It's hard to make those little gains. So all was going well, but then the wedding time came. It got so busy in the lead up and during that 10 days I was gone for my wedding, I really didn't get much done at all. A couple of days before my wedding, still getting after it, hoping the guys back home aren't training as hard.
Well, today was Travis's wedding day, so I knew he wouldn't be getting after it much, so I thought I'd take advantage and get good swim in, while he's partying. So here was Travis.
Immediately afterwards, literally the weekend afterwards, I jumped into a 100-mile charity bike ride in Colorado at altitude. I thought it was gonna crush me, but I had to do it with a friend. But it actually gave me such a big boost and I just felt so fit afterwards, had a lot of momentum after that, and like Ethan and Cody at the time, I had a ton of motivation to get ready for this monster swim that Ethan had planned for this fundraiser we talked about in the last video. The 10-mile swim across the big lake we have here in town. So we were all motivated for swimming at that point, but after that, these guys just really stopped swimming, just completely cold turkey.
I don't like swimming anymore.
Whereas I knew from my past experience, even though we have a downriver swim here in Chattanooga, the swim 55 minutes long, moving your arms through the water is still pretty tiring if you're not prepared and can really affect your bike and your run. I did not drop off completely from swimming. I definitely did a little bit. I've still been staying relatively consistent and I think that's another advantage I have with my training during this time. Just getting back from the pool. Both guys bailed on me. Usually I'd be kind of upset, man, I thought we were gonna swim together. But you know what? It's another session in the bag for me. I will be probably 1 second quicker in that downriver swim. So after that, and not having to worry about that big swim anymore, training kept ramping up slowly but surely. Pretty much 10% week on week, I was able to increase. I hit a 35-mile run week at my peak. I always hoped to do a little bit more than that, but that was during the Nice Ironman World Championships recently in the humid weather there, and I felt really good. And overall, with the time I've had, I'm really pleased with my training. Starting to feel it a little bit, like I might have a chance. Maybe that's delusion. I'll take what I can get, and you know, the bike does feel like my weak spot right now, but with my equipment advantage we'll go over, I think I'll be pretty confident, especially because I can hold aero really well right now, and yeah, my shoulders feel strong, so hopefully that'll be enough. But on to Cody's training now, and remember this quote from the last video that had Ethan and I in stitches.
I coach myself. It's all by feel, and it doesn't feel good.
So even though his training doesn't look like typical triathlon training, it still is some dang hard training, and that's because 6 weeks before our race, he did a 100-kilometer ultra and finished second overall. So you had to prep for that. It's completely unreal that he did it. We thought he would take a much longer to recover than he did, but as the young gun that he is recovered pretty well, and you know, is back in great shape ahead of this Ironman. He's also just a bit nuts. You know, he's done random things like a 6-hour trainer ride indoors just because he got a new bike trainer and wanted to really test it out. Stuff like that gets me a little bit worried. He definitely has what it takes for this Ironman. But I think, you know, since that mid-July fundraiser, his swim focus has completely disappeared. I just worry that he's gonna be too gassed on the swim to really take advantage of it. But I don't know, Ethan and I are pretty sure he's hiding some activities on his Strava. Some more of those crazy trainer rides I think might have been hidden on Strava. It's a bit suspect because when we see his stats for his recent bike rides, they're looking pretty good. Cody's role as a firefighter paramedic gave him some advantages and disadvantages during this training. You know, he has some pretty tough shifts.
All right, I train by the amount of sleep I get. If I get a lot of sleep, I'll go out on a long run. If I don't get a lot of sleep, I'll go out on a long run. And then when I'm tired of running, I go on a bike. And when it's been about 2 weeks, I'll do a swim. That's about what my training plan looks like.
But you know, it gives him good time during the week. He's able to research smaller things, make sure his gear is really prepped and dialed, his nutrition. Whereas Ethan, on the other hand, definitely I know hasn't done that, asking me some gear questions and other things that I think he probably should have gotten together and tested a few weeks ago at least. But on to Ethan then, the king of trash talking and the guy who just keeps trolling my Strava workouts.
I definitely talk the most trash. I'd like to think I can back it up, but I talk a lot of trash.
Ethan talks the most trash, and unfortunately I think he can back it up.
But if I have to beat one of the two, I'd rather beat Ethan because of all the trash talking, 100%. He, like Cody, has had a much more unstructured training plan than mine, especially in the lead up to his fundraiser, where he just has so many things to prep for and so many things to do in the lead up to that whole event.
I exercised from midnight to 8 p.m. one day, and in the middle of that day, I did a 10-mile swim with Travis.
And after that, he recovered, he said, super well this year, and he decided to get more structured. He actually hired a coach to help him work on his run, and he has steadily worked up his run, building up to 35-mile run weeks, has hit a lot of those consistently.
I usually work out twice a day and then have one rest day a week. I have a running coach, but not a triathlon coach, so I'm kind of just adding in the biking and swimming as I go. Yeah, I bike for fun, I run because I have to, and I don't swim anymore.
But then Ethan's bike training, and that's where I think he's been lacking a little bit. He always does a fair bit of mountain biking, but he's done fairly little road riding, especially those bigger rides I think you need in the lead up to an Ironman. But he's not too worried about it with his being his strength, and he believes, I guess, that the run is where he needs to win this.
I'm really hoping that these boys don't know how hard this bike ride is. I've been biking my whole life, And to top it off, Cody is on my old bike that I sold him. So if I see him beat me on my old bike, it'll bring tears to my eyes. Okay, I just sold Cody my bicycle.
And I'm gonna beat him in the Ironman.
Nothing would make me sadder than losing to my own bike.
The one thing Ethan wants less than anything in this race is for Cody to beat him on that bike leg. So I really want to see that. But recently there was a dramatic twist with Ethan because on his last 10-mile run before it tapering this weekend, Ethan injured his Achilles and couldn't finish the run. It was
I'm taped up right now. I had PT yesterday on the Achilles.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much from here to here is like brutally sore. Went down on my last run.
unbelievable.
Oh well.
Fingers crossed Ethan makes it to the finish line. Thankfully, he went to a PT this week, got the all clear to race, but we just want him to be 100% fully healthy and, you know, get something out of all this work he's put into it. But that was definitely a close call. But now we got to move on to the equipment we'll be using on race day. All right, so this is the equipment I'll be using in Chattanooga. Wetsuit, we've all pretty much got the same level of wetsuit, pretty high-end wetsuits each of us, so no real advantage there. But if for some reason it's not a wetsuit swim, which I've heard sometimes it's not, then that's where I'll get a major advantage. Because I have a nice swim skin as well, and these two don't, so that'll be great. Next up on the run, I am using super shoes. Cody and I have super shoes. Ethan does not, so we've got that over him. These are the New Balance SC Elites, and I just absolutely love them. They're super stable, and yeah, definitely add some speed that I don't have in these legs. So really grateful I found these shoes pretty last minute, but yeah, no brainer on race day. And this is my A2 SP. I am super lucky to have been able to upgrade recently to SRAM Red, as well as got some new carbon wheels, which I haven't raced on either of those before, but feeling pretty confident in this setup right now. 4 water bottles on race day. I try and drink 1 liter an hour is what I'm going for. 2 on the back here. ISM saddle, little toolbox here at the back, running fresh tires, as well as I got this new cockpit armrests here that have made such a difference. I feel I can hold the aero position for hours now. Literally did a 4-hour ride entirely in the aero position the other day, so that was a major upgrade. That was like $70, which yeah, I'd highly recommend. Then I'm running a Garmin. I'll run my chest strap for heart rate as well as a power meter. And yeah, I think this is going to be the difference that keeps me to the front of the race ahead of these guys starting the run. But whether I can hold off on the run, that's the big question.
Basically what I'm using is this cool blue and gold wetsuit. Travis helped me get this one. Without it, I'm screwed for the swim. It's pure survival, so I really like it. Makes me feel fast, more importantly, buoyant. Next, my super shoes, Nike Alpha Flies. I love them. I'm a runner at heart, and these are gonna help me beat the two of them. They're not gonna stand a chance. Ethan wrote his own death note by giving me this bike. I mean, I paid for it, but this was Ethan's bike, and now it's the bike he's gonna lose to. So all that I did different was added some clip-on aero bars, practiced with them 1 time so far, maybe I'll practice 2 times. And I added this handy dandy little torpedo hydration. I really like that. And I'm just gonna be running some fuel in my little pack here, grabbing Morton's as we go. I've got 2 bottles here, and then this will be filled with gel and liquid carbs. And then I guess the only other thing, little toolkit, because hopefully nothing bad happens, but if it does, gotta be quick.
Tier wetsuit. I am gonna use shoes for normal people. I got New Balance Rebels, super comfortable, still lightweight, not super shoes. I don't need them. I can almost guarantee you that despite my Achilles injury, I'll have the fastest marathon time. Then we'll go to the bike. I got a Madone, Trek Madone, SLR Gen 8, carbon wheels, SRAM Force for part of the components here. The cranks were actually designed by my girlfriend, engineered through SRAM, and I got a red derailleur, and pretty much whole cockpit is red as well. Comfortable bike, doesn't have aero bars, hopefully don't need them. We'll see if that makes the difference for me. Got some aero bottles too, but yeah, excited to see how she rips.
You're just carrying 2 water bottles?
I was actually thinking of reducing my drag by taking this back one out and just going down to 1.
All right, the part you've all been waiting for. What is the bet? What is the punishment for the 2 losers of this race? Well, it took us a while to come up with one, but with all our partners around at the breakfast one day, we came up with the best punishment I think ever. It's something each of us would absolutely hate, and that is to have a shrine of the winner in each of our living rooms for the next 6 months. So basically just a printed photo of the winner at the race on display in the living room, and that would just be too awful to have to remember that every day for such a long time. What do you guys think about having my face in your living room for 6 months?
It's already there.
Well, it turns out the bet isn't a big deal for Cody. What do you think?
Did we make that the official wager?
Oh yeah.
The problem is all of our girlfriends are gonna, or wives, partners, they're gonna kill us. Whoever loses, having to see this shit in our house.
Yeah, that's been the best part about the bet, I think, is Eden has been a lot more motivated wanting me to win now. I think we all...
Time to get out of the house, Trav.
Yeah.
Go run.
Yeah. It's got to be a finish line shot, I think, of that person beating us in the race. I think that would hurt more to look at every day.
I have an idea of what I'm gonna do if I win.
Oh boy. Well, here we go. Nothing to lose. Thanks guys for watching. See you in the next one.